Go live.
We are live. We are here again.
Live streaming at the camp.
Episode 24.
Holy
24,
mackerel.
Dave. We've done 24 of these. We're almost coming up to a year. We're almost coming up to a year.
One every fortnight, yeah.
Yeah, we're coming up to a year because we skipped a few weeks over Christmas. So we're probably due for when did we start this? We'll have to look back. We should have a year anniversary to have some kind of celebration thing.
Does that mean we're experienced podcasters after 1 year of doing this every fortnight?
No, I think we're more experienced than what we were 24 episodes ago. So, so we'll just continue down the path.
I think it's safe to say we were shit. when we started off, we were really we're still shit, but we're a bit better.
We're a little bit better. So
yeah.
So it's all about having great people on, great conversations, and just.
I guess all of our guests have been amazing. That's not the problem. The problem.
No, we've got to get the viewership up. We've got to work on our promotion. So, doing the promotional video on the day is we've got to stop doing that. So, and I'm going to take some responsibility for that because now I've got tools to play with, and I did that for a couple of hours today. So I'll play with it and I'll get them singing.
And then I edited it at about 4 o'clock after clinic, and then we got it out there, and we got a few comments pretty quickly.
So that's good. So we just got to get it. If we get that out, if we aim to get the promo out on the Sunday or the Monday or something, then that's going to build a little bit more thing, and then we can do a few little catch up. So because I think the content's great, we've just got to get that. We just got to get our promo going. So talking about
tonight's guest pretty cool.
Very cool, very topical. Given that we've just had the open, right, and the number of reps and no reps. So
I think
what do you know about that?
A lot of people will recognize Dunn, Warren. Floor judge, head judge, Torian Pro. He's quite often, I've seen him just about every Torian Pro that we've been to, at least at Pat Rafter Arena, wandering the floor there. So it'll be awesome to get a bit of an insight into his experiences, some stories that he can tell us from working at the Torian Pro, and maybe deep dive into the logistics of how it works.
Yeah, exactly. So, and some of his funny stories or stories with athletes that may not be happy with calls that he's had to deal with. How does he deal with that? So it'll be pretty cool.
It's pretty topical.
So we're going to bring him on.
Let's bring him on. He's in the backstage. Let's bring on Wazza. There he is. Hello, Warren. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
We got some good audio. Have you got a headset at all?
I have got headphones, but I'm happy to plug them in.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Is there an issue with the video? Or?
There's a little bit of static. There's a little bit of static.
It's a bit echoey. But that looks good. That's pretty good. Because we're a pretty professional outfit here, was it?
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yep, that's good.
I think that's a bit better. Yeah.
Okay.
We're coming through your headphones too.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I connected it up just to make sure. I was like, I'll try and jump in early, make sure that the headphones or the microphone works. But
that's our fault. Someone sent you the wrong link.
That would be me, was it?
I was watching the last episode and catching up.
See. So there was a method behind my madness, Dave. I was was getting more views on
getting another view from one of our guests instead of a link to join the actual podcast. All right, that's cool. So where are you? Where are you now? You're in Tasmania, is that what I said?
No. So I'm back at home now. I'm in my office and in Brisbane. So I went outside up near, like I'm in Strathpine, so just part of Brisbane as you can be, and still call it Brisbane probably.
What brings you down to Tassie for a little trip?
No, it's just work, and I can't really talk about it too much, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Top secret.
No,
are you still military, or are you military?
No. So I left the army in 2018. I was still working with defence through government contracts and so forth. I worked as part of the Australian Embassy security team in Afghanistan for a couple of years before COVID, and then before the Taliban took back over Afghanistan, or to at least Kabul. And then in that stage, I'd come home, and I was, I've been home now for 4 years or so. So I still do some contracting specifically to defence, but not always. Like a lot of the contracting we do is, I do telecommunications. Contracting is my background. I was a technician in the army for 18 years, and then that's where I am now.
Cool.
Wow, 18 years in the army.
Yes. I think there was a period there where I realised that it was the thing that I'd done longest in my life of all the things. Like it had been longer than school, it had been longer than as my family had sort of moved around a lot. We moved. I was born in Sydney, and we moved to South Australia when I was about 4 years old. It's a little town called Tarcoola, which is pretty much where the Indian Pacific and the Garn meet. Those railways meet. And then we moved to Beachport, which is down the lower southeast of South Australia, and then further north to a town called Hadley, which is in the middle of nowhere. Really, I think a population of 30 to 50 or something. It's not huge, but it might be bigger now. But then off to Port Broughton, which is 2 hours north of Adelaide, before I joined the army, and then it's sort of been Eastern Seaboard for the most part. Sydney, down to Melbourne for a bit, back up to Sydney, and then eventually in Brisbane in 2013 maybe, where it was my first time to Queensland, and I decided this is where I want to stay. So that's pretty much where I pulled up stumps, built this house, and still here.
So are you a Queenslander, or are you a cockroach?
Well, I'd go for New South Wales in the state of origin. I don't think I've lived in Queensland long enough to call myself a Queenslander. It's been just going on 10 years now, I guess. So I don't know how long you have to be, maybe 20 years before you can change allegiances, and then
it's whenever you feel it's right, was it? So you're living here now, you call it home. So
I do call it home. I have a Queensland wife, so maybe I can start leaning in, but I think I'll always be a New South Wales supporter.
Yeah.
Well, we won't hold that. Was it what we met way back? I don't know. It must be like 10 or 11 years ago at the CrossFit box that I learnt. Dipped my toe in the water with this crazy, addictive, healthy methodology we call CrossFit.
Yeah, I remember it was down in Milton. So I was living in Kelvin Grove at the time, and I remember coming into the gym a few times and seeing yourself and your wife in there. I think you actually had the banner up in Ultra for was it for Neuro or Neuro obviously didn't exist then, but like at least your clinic was there. Yeah. And so I was always impressed at Dave, who quite happily would rip his shirt off at any given moment. I'm not even sure if he was doing workouts or just wandering around the gym. So, but he's always very impressive. I think you had me around to your house a few times to watch you work out. No, it was always
he hasn't changed, runs. He hasn't changed. He still takes his shirt off. He had his shirt off tonight. So,
well, if I had a rig like that, I probably would be popping mine a bit more regular as well.
I breathe through my skin. We do breathe through our skin. It's not our lungs.
It was actually funny. I was working when I was in Kabul recently, or not recently, a couple of years ago. We were specifically looking at equipment for the gym to try and deaden the sound, and the bloke who was in charge of us at the time had been looking at these video clips for this equipment, and the video he was watching was one of Dave testing out the crash mats in his garage gym, and he's like, "Oh, what do you think of these mats?" I said, "I know that guy."
Oh my God, that got a crazy amount of views because it was just one of those gym fail type videos.
It was good.
The barbell landed on the edge of the shock mats and then rolled back.
Yeah.
I remember that well. Yeah.
I haven't seen that video, Dave. I think I'm going to have to go looking for that one.
Yeah. So it'll pop up on your feed if you search enough CrossFit stuff. But so how, obviously military, very physical, lots of physical training almost every day, isn't it? Mandatory in the military. Is that
it set me up for a pretty good. So when I was in the army, I was training every day. This is prior to beginning CrossFit, and then generally I would do a session in the morning, which was just an organised personal training, but organised PT session, and then I would generally go down and do another session at lunchtime with just a gym bros sort of session, and then maybe sport once or twice a week, depending on like if there's something on in the afternoon on the Wednesdays. That tend to be like a sport or a boozer day, like a military training or sport training. I stayed pretty fit through that, and it was actually interesting because CrossFit was sort of it was growing, but at the time I was I did my first CrossFit workout, or legitimate CrossFit workout, in 2012, which was the hero workout, Gallagher and McDonald, which is the Australian hero workout. Yeah, I hadn't realised. My brother Tom has just mentioned in the comment that I've let myself go a bit, so thank you, Tom. But it was the first workout I did. I was still pretty dismissive of CrossFit in general. Like I was like, I was only interested in doing, it was either a fad you're into or you weren't into, and at the time I was sort of against it. It wasn't actually till I went off to, I was deployed at some time, 2013 maybe? No, 2015. And one of the guys I was deployed with, he had been training out at CrossFit Raw, which is Cara Saunders, Cara Webb back then. That was the gym that she went to, and he's like, "Oh, you should try this stuff out." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll give it a crack." And then I really enjoyed it overseas. We didn't have a very big gym that we had access to, so we had pretty minimal equipment, a couple of pull-up bars. I think we had some things we could sort of play around with, and those guys got me into it. And I went down and I started watching all the videos I could find about CrossFit, whether it be the games or just like Nasty Girls videos or any I could just consume as much CrossFit content as I possibly could, whether it be Dan Bailey stuff or Rich Froning, especially. I think at the time there was the
Day in the life of Rich Froning.
It was
Nico
great.
Salo, they were so good, weren't they? I love them.
And so then I came back I think I came back in December, and I sort of sent a message out to 3 gyms that were nearby. I said, "Hey, look, I'm really keen to try this out." And one of them got back to me. It was code 99 CrossFit, which doesn't exist anymore. It actually was overtaken by the CrossFit Ducks, their first location in Red Hill. And that was the stage that was when we came into Ultra and crashed the party. I think there was like 12 or 13 people from code 99 who came in, and we didn't really take over, but we had a few hangers on, like myself, Tom, Glenn. Stuck around in Ultra for a while, and then when I moved north was at the stage I was living in Kelvin Grove, and then I moved up to Strathmine, and it was just too far to go. So, but yeah, like I went all in 2015. I was like, okay, this is it. This is exciting. I'm loving this. I think probably there's a stage when if you're not playing sport and you're used to growing up around sports, CrossFit is a great way for you to really rejuvenate a lot of that competitive energy without necessarily having a competitive thing to do. And so that was a great outlet for me. And then so when I got back, I joined the gym. I went overseas because my brother had passed away, and I came back in the new year and jumped into the gym. It was in January, and everyone was there going, "Oh, hey, welcome to CrossFit." Now everyone was very excited to have me, and they said, "You're just in time for the CrossFit Open." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll give it a go. I've just watched a bunch of videos on the games. How hard can this be?" So it turns out pretty hard. The first open workout that I did was overhead walking lunge with the barbell with burpees over a bar at one end and chest to bar pull-ups at the other. And I couldn't make it I couldn't make it 2 segments without having to put the barbell down on the lunges. I have redone that workout since then.
I think I saw you do. I think I did that on the same night as you with at Ultra.
I did it with Freddie.
I think that might have been around 2016, was it? 2016.
That was 2016.
Yeah.
And pretty much as soon as I finished the Open, I think it might have been even when I finished the second week of the Open, like it was 5 weeks that Open. I decided, I'm like, hey, this is really cool. And then I signed up to volunteer at the regionals that year.
Was it? So talking about judging, was it the fact that the Open was the first time you'd done CrossFit and you had someone scrutinizing your reps and your movement? Was that something different? Because I didn't realize that until we started doing the Open as well, when you had this person standing there with a clipboard counting your reps and no repping you. I thought that was really that was great.
So,
I really enjoyed that.
I didn't volunteer as a judge the first year. I actually volunteered as the rogue gear team. Like, you needed to be, like, back then, like, to get judges, you had to sort of have done your level 1 and so forth to get on the floor, which I think they're sort of reverting to again now. But at the time, I think that having a judge there was cool. But I think for the most part at that stage, my judge was there going, "Come on, man, pick up the barbell." A lot more than actually playing reps. So I did enjoy the competition atmosphere and how much everyone was supportive, everyone was cheering, whether you were doing horribly or whether you were excelling at it. There was just the vibe and the excitement being around that was hard to miss, hard to not get wrapped up in, which is why straight away I volunteered for the thing. I actually had to take leave from work to go down and do it, and I have no regrets about that, because immediately after watching and helping out at the regionals, I went online and bought tickets to go to the games to go and watch it in Madison.
What did you do? What did you do at the regionals that year? When you say you helped out, what did you actually do?
Yeah, so we were the rogue equipment team. So we were sort of rolling barbells out, resetting the equipment between heats. I had Artie as the crew leader, and I met a bunch of people there who I'm still chat with to this day. One of them actually lived in my house for a while, Lou. But it's been great. Like, it was hard to that regional environment, and you got up in between heats and you went and walked around the stadium, and you saw that I think Rogue had a big section that they were sort of cordoned off. Everyone was buying grips and shoes and so forth. I think I bought a pair of Innovate shoes, lifting shoes that I don't think I ever wore Innovate. Oh, actually, I just threw them out this year because I got a new pair. So it's been 10 years old, right? So, and I didn't do a whole lot of lifting in them because I didn't want to be one of those people that my lifting was terrible, my snatching is still terrible, but that's getting better. But I mean, I didn't want there to be an excuse that I didn't want to have the crutch of the shoes. I didn't want to have the crutch of the belt. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to get better at this, I'm going to get better at it without all the theatrics. And now I've decided this year that I'm like, you know what? I paid all this money for the theatrics. I might as well use them.
Use the damn things,
Yeah.
All right.
So dropping forklifts and so forth around.
You got into the sort of behind the scenes operations of a big event, and that really appealed to you. I mean, the logistics of running those things must be just insane. Like, how do you all know what's going on? And this will lead up to the Torian, because that's where probably you've had most, even more experience running a modern CrossFit competition semi-final. Like, how does it work? like, is there like a hierarchy of people in charge and on their walkie-talkies and all communicating with each other? What are the logistics?
So there's definitely a hierarchy. Generally, there'll be and it's obviously changed since when it was a CrossFit run system to the systems that we have now, and it's changed a couple of times in that as well. From the first one that I did, generally you'd be broken up into teams, so there'd be like a signage team whose job it is to go out with name placards and make sure all the bunting is correct and the flags are in the right place, and make sure in between the heats that's all changed. And you'll see them out there where they're throwing at the ladders and climbing up and quickly changing over. They do an amazing job in such a short time span. Then there's the equipment team, who are obviously, that was what I did the first year, where you roll your barbells out, you put them in, like say, people have to carry these dumbbells up one end of the thing, then we've got to bring it all back, to make sure all the chalk's there and chalk buckets and so forth, if they need mats and so forth. And then you've got your athlete control, which at Torian runs that, where it's like, okay, making sure all the athletes are corralled at the right time. They know what equipment they've got to take out. They're not taking out anything which is illegal, such as double knee wraps or like belts that are too big. And then you've got all the scorers, obviously. So scorers, they'll be the ones that, so the judges will hold the paper up at the end, and the scorers come along, get them and collate it and put it all in and enter all that data in. Obviously the judges, who are probably the most visible aspect of that volunteer role, and there'll be teams of judges, so like generally there'll be like 3 or 4 teams of 10 to 12 individuals, and then they've got a crew leader that'll run them out, make sure they're all lined up, and there's a lot of rehearsals that go along with that. So people like Mark Berg, Jody Cassidy, Craig McKay, on the competition floor, they're the head judges per se, and they'll make sure that okay, you guys know what the workout is, where you need to stand. There's very much a thing where there's a balance between making sure you're in a position where you can see the best movement of the athlete, as opposed to say being in the way. That's why you see a lot of the judges, they'll be taking, when they're not specifically judging, they might take a knee. The idea is that you keep a low profile, you're not getting in the way of the camera or the audience, so people can see what's going on and without you interfering. So the idea for the judge is to be obviously to make sure the movement standards, but also to not inhibit the spectacle and get in the way of everything that's going on. So there's a lot of teams in there, even like athlete registration, and then like there's ladies like Trish at Trish Dunn, actually, so Royce's mum does a lot of does all the uniforms and so forth, and makes sure all the volunteers are fitted out, kitted, and got all the right gear. So obviously that's a pretty big job for her for a couple of days, and yes, it's all coordinated. Generally, there'll be like a head of each section. Maybe some of the judges or the judge team leads will have a radio on them at all times to know, okay, you've got operations and so forth, or even especially when there's runs, to make sure that traffic control. So there's heaps of people involved. I don't know exactly numbers. Probably somewhere in the vicinity of 70 to 80 judges alone.
So does it work on the context? Does it work that everybody has a job and they stick within their lane to do that job? Is that the kind of domain that you play?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So if you volunteer to be a judge and you're selected to be a judge and so forth, like you might move between judging areas, you might move from outside to inside, but that's what your job will be for the entire 3 to 4 days, or depending on whatever it is. Same as security. If you're there as security to make sure that spectators and so forth aren't getting in the way or getting into areas, that's your job for the entire weekend. There may be some changes, like you'll see them change shirts or whatever if their roles change, but generally no, that's what you volunteer as. And that's
so the people that are putting up the signs with the ladders, like that's their role.
Always
like
the same. That's their role. Yeah.
Yeah.
When do they start that process of getting the crews together, the teams? Like, is that months beforehand or a week?
So Torian in particular will put out a call for volunteers, which has gone out, and I think so. Having spoken with Jono today, he's like, it's pretty much closed, but there is still spots open. So if people want to volunteer, they definitely can. I think you could go to the Torian Pro website you'll see there's a volunteer portal, or at least an area where you can volunteer. And you can indicate the area you want to work in. If you've got, they'll ask you, hey, what experience do you have? For instance, if you want to be a main floor judge, you need to obviously have your level 1 and have done I want to say at least the judges course, maybe the advanced, or maybe that's just for the head judges. I can't remember. I always made sure I get that out before the open starts, so you can be as useful as possible. But yeah, so that's the process. And then on the weeks and so forth leading up to it, maybe 2 weeks out, you'll constantly get updates from your team lead to let you know, hey, this is where you need to be. And then obviously when you get there, it's a big party vibe when you first get there, because everyone's just catching up again. They might not have seen each other for a year, and then you get, hey, this is going to be the person that's going to be in charge of you. This is where you're going to meet. So it's very controlled, very organised. They've got a really, and it's kind of always been this way, where it's very clean, smooth. Like once you get there, now you know where you need to go, and all the team leads have done a great job in sort of fostering that. A lot of the team leads we have now are the same ones that we had when it was regionals back when I started.
So when do you go to rehearsal? When do you rehearse? Like if say the Torian usually starts on a
Thursday
or Friday or Thursday. When do you guys do you start rehearsing? Like the day before, Monday?
So it's generally like the day before. So say it starts on Friday. So Thursday, we ask everyone to come in Thursday, and they would be there, and they'll go through some of the activities and say, hey, look, these are the first 2 workouts that are going to go, and they'll run the judges through it and say, hey, this is the movements. Let's run through the flow. Give the judges a chance to see what it looks like, where they're going to stand, ask any questions you might have. And they'll do that for the judges specifically. And then perhaps they'll have like the athletes come in for their brief later on. And so the judges will generally sit in that audience and listen to the same brief given again, specifically for the athletes. I think so. Bergie and Ollie sort of give those briefs these days to both the indies and teams, and it gives the judges an opportunity to hear the questions that the athletes might have, because then it reinforces it for them the next day, or when they see the next activity, what are some areas where there might be sticking points. Okay, so if everyone's asking, hey, whereabouts does this dumbbell need to be, then the judge might know to go, okay, that's something I need to watch for tomorrow, or that's something I need to watch in the activity. Generally, those things are ironed out on the day.
Okay. So you guys know exactly which events that you'll be judging before. You don't rock up and say, hey, no, you're doing event 1 now. Not you know well beforehand the movements and the flow of the workout ahead of time.
No, I'll say we generally, as a judge, as a regular judge, you will find out the movements about the same time as everyone else does. So when they get published online, it's about the time that most judges, aside from say the head judges and like that core crew, they're pretty tight gripped in terms of the details of the workout, and that's how it has to be to keep like a level playing field amongst all things. But yeah, generally as a judge, you find out maybe a day, 2 days, unless Torian specifically have released what the workout is and what the workout schedules are going to be. But you'll know from your team lead, they'll say, okay, you're going to be, because say there's 2 judges for an event, you're going to be up here with the dumbbells, or you're going to be here at the finish line. You're all going to have a stopwatch, but you're going to be watching this specific movement, and you're going to be watching this specific movement, or you'll be moving with the athlete and so forth. So that's explained prior to, say, the athletes coming in. So we might have a bit of an idea and a guess what it's going to be, but generally the details are really only passed on right before the athletes hear it.
Okay, so you only have enough judges. Every event that's run, every judge is in use. It's not like, oh, I'm going to sit out this one. You do event 1, I'll do event 3. You do event 4, I'll do event 5. Or is every judge being kind of utilised for most events? You're out there for all.
No, so this is what I was saying in terms of you have judging teams. So there might be 4 teams, and there might be 2 teams of judges on the floor at one time. And 2 teams of judges are off, either preparing for the next one or having a break.
Or just having lunch or something.
Shopping. Yeah. And sometimes, and you have the option or the ability within, say there's a specific event and you've got a family member that's competing in it, and then they're in this particular heat or whatever, you can ask to swap amongst the teams, and so there's a fair bit of flexibility in there. Obviously, it comes down to making sure we've got the right number of people on the floor for that specific event. So we're not going to have holes in the floor where people just aren't. So yes, there is a rotation.
Yeah. Cool. What's going on here? You're on your soapbox here, soapbox
is about right. So I designed and ran an event. It was a charity workout for in memory of my brother who passed, and I ran it for about 9 years. And this one here was where I was either giving a brief at the start or giving thank yous at the end for the. So this one is run at it's CrossFit More, but it's Anchor Fitness headquarters. So it's up here in Lawton. It's run and run by Beck Lennesy. You can just sort of see her next to my massive calves there. So in the dark blue shirt, Beck Lennesy. You might recognise her from she's competed a number of times at Torian. She does quite well, and in a number of other events around the area. So yeah, shout out to Beck. But yeah, so this event I ran for it supported, like, it raised money for Starlight Foundation for Children's Charity, who was a charity that looked after my brother during when he was quite young. So it was nice to be able to run that event for a number of years and raise money for them. We always had a really good buy-in from not just the gym that I was necessarily coaching at, but also I had a number of friends from America who'd come over, and they'd go and do it in their gyms. And we had one of our coaches.
Are you still doing the event? What's that? You're still doing the event, mate?
So we don't run it as a organised charity event anymore. Like, we might still run it as an event in the gym. Generally, it's the second Saturday of October. Second Saturday of October. And what I used to do is I used to buy. I've got a couple here. I used to buy coins. I'd have them made up. And they've got thank you tokens. So these are called challenge coins. And in the military, these are generally a coin that you would pass off to someone as a thank you. So I've got a couple of different ones here, like CrossFit Brendale, OPP, which doesn't exist anymore. And
I think we have to go up and do it on the second week of October, Dave. We have to go up to where is it? CrossFit More.
Yeah, CrossFit More. Yeah.
So what's the workout?
So it starts off. So there's all the movements and things, they obviously have meaning. And I'll go through the actual workout first, and then I'll come back to the meaning. So it starts off with 29 seconds, as many calories as possible on the assault bike or air bike, echo bike. Then you have 1 minute rest, and then you go into 5 rounds for time of 25 double unders, 8 deadlifts, and 13 burpee box jump overs. And so the reason that it was sort of done like this was that's 5 rounds. I don't know if I said that. So my brother passed away from an asthma attack, and he was a chronic severe asthmatic his entire life. So it was a big deal. Like, he was in and out of the with the kids with the cystic fibrosis ward in the Women's Children's Hospital for a long time. And the thing that I could most, I guess, replicate a feeling of an asthma attack without actually having one was an all-out assault bike. Yeah. Now, Shane died when he was 29, which is hence the 29 seconds. The 1 minute rest is specifically to just take a moment to think about those people that can't be here or aren't around, are important to us, and give thanks for that. The 5 rounds is because there's a bit of a story with our family in terms of Shane was a bit of the star, and it comes from it. So I actually have a star tattoo on my arm in memory of it. And so 1 point for each of the star. And then he passed away on the 25th of August 2013, hence the 25, 8, 13 rep schemes. Yep. The 25 double unders was to say that, okay, everyone did skipping as a kid, but Shane's fun thing was he would like to make things just that little bit harder. And so double unders was sort of that thing, okay, everyone knew how to skip, now let's just make it harder. The 8 deadlifts was just so Shane, he was 29 when he died, but he'd sort of grown up in the cystic fibrosis kids, and they were all back then, like, cystic fibrosis was more of a death sentence than it is now. So to actually graduate out of the Women's and Children's Hospital was a pretty big deal, and so like he sort of had a lot of that that sense of I guess mortality and like carrying things, and that was where the deadlift came from. And so the deadlift was actually 110 kilos, which is slightly higher than the regular thing, 110 and 70 kilos, to just make it just that little bit harder. And then the burpee box jumpers was so Shane often, what I would say is that life got Shane down a lot, but he often got up and achieved far greater results than probably what he exhibited. So it wasn't just a box jump; it was a box jump and over. So that's the reason behind it. So, and then that's
please tell me it's a 24-inch. Please tell me it's a 24-inch, not a 30-inch.
24-inch box jump, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a 15-minute time cap because when
15-minute time cap.
for that second Porsche,
that's a pretty brutal time cap, actually. So
when
15 minutes, 3 minutes around. Yeah.
But you only do it yourself like once. You only do it yourself like once. You don't have to do it yourself.
You only do yourself like once, yeah. Yeah, so the 15 minutes came about because he, when we turned life support off, he hung around for another 15 hours, and that's where that sort of all came about. So it's everything in it has meaning to me, and it's important to me, and I guess to my family. My parents actually came up for the 10-year version of it, which was very cool, and my father jumped in and had a crack at it. When we first ran it at CrossFit Brendale, we had 30 people do it, and 5 people finished. And now, when we ran it the last year, the majority of the gym finished. So it just shows you how much progression there's been in what we have asked for ourselves back then, as per what we can do now. There are scale versions of all the movements and weights.
And so you call that that workout Shane? Is it named Shane?
No, there already was a workout named Shane, so I had to name it something else. So it's called SLDN, which is his initials, Shane Lance Dunn. And that's on the back of the coins. You can see.
SLDN.
That's very good. We'll have to do that one, Dave. You'll do it in 15 minutes, no problems at all.
Well, let's do it. We can. What we do, Warren, is in the past we've had our coaches do workouts, and we've got a sponsor, of course, and we can also put it out there to the viewership to video their workout. Yeah. And we could get them doing SLDN, and obviously the video that gets sent to us with a link for the week, if that's the fastest time, they get the
redback grips.
Prize. The redback grips.
Well, there's one of 2 parts. I think this is really cool, but there is 2 parts. One is that you can't sandbag the assault bike.
Okay.
So the fastest time with the calories as well. So I haven't quite worked out a way to make that a super competitive thing. There's maybe there's a minimum number of calories you have to achieve in order to have a time. But I tell you what, if you do get around to running this, I'll come up with a series of
some sort of integration.
Yeah, I'll make something. I as a hobby, I'm a hobby woodworker, and I'll make some gift for whoever the winner is.
Yeah. We could. Where could you slot in the? Because the assault bike. Maybe
you'd be looking at a minimum of 25 calories, I think.
Oh, that's tough. 29 seconds. I think that's.
Whatever you could sort of say that it's very measurable. I don't want to change your workout, but you could make it 29 calories.
I mean, you could. Yeah, you can make it anyway. It wasn't made as a competitive workout. It was made initially as a workout so I was personal training Beck's younger sister, actually, Hayley. And I was just trying to come up with the workout as like a bit of a commemorative thing. And so I just did it with her, and she was like, "That's really cool. You should run it as the gym." And so then we actually ended up making it an event. So before we do the workout every year, generally I'll get together with Haley and we'll just do it ourselves. So I won't do it on the day. I'll just MC and so forth on the day and get around.
Cool.
Yeah,
but,
I think we'll definitely have to do something in there. I think so.
Thank you
cool.
for.
And then you can.
I did not know that about your brother. You obviously keep those things pretty close to your heart. But thanks.
It's always. I normally give like a bit of a brief before the class starts the workout, and it's always been a bit of a challenge to get the entire brief out without like. There's no offense to me, but everyone's there. They give me the sad eyes, and that's when I sort of go. I struggle with it. The first year I did it, I actually had a friend there with me who was. I'm like, I'd written it all down, what I wanted to say, and I thought I need to stop, and I gave him it, and he was worse than me. He didn't even know Shane, so then I had to take it back and finish it off. But so it's always fun. But I enjoy it. I think it's fun.
Well, good on you. Back to the so judging was a. Do you think that CrossFit has a problem? Like you obviously you must have heard of Andrew Hiller and all the Batman videos, and like as a sport, do we have a problem? And if we do have a problem, do you think there is a solution?
Do we have a problem? Well, there's two parts to that. First one is the Andrew Hiller thing. So I think it's important to note that when Andrew Hiller put his first series of videos out, which are all no-rep videos, I got on board. I thought this is great because it lets people know, hey, I'm watching you. You know, we're all watching you. And there's an element of community. You know, we were all a bit of finger wagging going on, and we all love seeing that. But I think it progressed past there at some stage to now being, you know, it's quite finicky in what we're saying is, you know, when we're saying, okay, did their hip get below knee? Did they, you know, when we talk about standards here, and you know, that's a soft elbow. So, and it's difficult to see on a video, whether that be because of dark shorts or whatever, or even just the angle of the camera. So I think that we've actually progressed past now calling out no reps and now to almost bullying, like, you know, hey, I don't like this person, therefore that's a no rep. And I think that there's been a bit of a pile on there, and I think that we've lost what the positive of that was, and we've moved into, I think that if we're going to have judges and we're going to say, hey, you need to have a judge here and so forth, and they are on the spot, there is an element of trust that that person is going to make the right call. Obviously, when we get further and further progressions down and we don't have necessarily a judge there, and you are putting your video out there to say, hey, because you're saying judge my workout, you can't then be upset when someone judges your workout and says, hey, you're not moving well. So there's a lot of personal accountability to say, okay, you know what, maybe I'm not moving well, or I need to position myself or my equipment in such a way that I can best demonstrate my movement standards without my comment section being flooded with bats. You know, I think that
Well, I'm sure because Hiller is who he is and he's got a profile and he's got quite a subscribership, I think people must be just feeding him stuff all the time. He's not. I don't think he's going trawling and looking for it. People are sending it to him, and then he's
I agree.
He's turning it into posts.
And initially, probably when he started, and I don't know this for sure, but I think when he started, he probably was like, he was seeing videos or seeing things, and he's like, this is really upsetting me. No one's calling these people out. They're getting away with horrible movements and not meeting standards. And he did call it out. And I think that was where there was a massive groundswell of people going, yeah, it's about time someone did call it out. Now, I think that what CrossFit headquarters is doing in terms of, hey, you have to do it in like for the next stage, the prelims or quarters, whatever it's called. I can never. They have said that this needs to be performed in an affiliate of good standing, and the assumption there is that the affiliate of good standing, and you've got to have a judge who's done their whatever. We're putting it onto the judge. If you want to remain in good standing, you're the affiliate manager has to sign off and say yes, they did it here, so we don't have like a Kyle Lehman sort of incident where, hey, I did it here and no one can remember him doing it here. But I mean, like that's CrossFit headquarters are taking steps to make sure, or would like to say, hey, if you're going to say this person did it at your gym, you're going to make sure they're doing it right, because we're going to see the videos, we're going to see the movement. So I think now that we see more videos, there probably is a lot more accountability for that. So I think we're taking the right steps. I don't think we're there yet. Like I think that there's still a lot of movements to get through. I think that
what do you think the affiliate's role is in that? Was it though? What do you think, like, the actual affiliate, which starts at the open for me, right?
Yeah, the affiliate's role is its reputation. If you want, I'm certain, for instance, Beck, right? So Beck's the owner of our gym, and she would hate to have someone say, "Oh, they move poorly at that gym," or "They're not good." I mean, that's what it is. It's about the pride of the affiliate owner, making sure that we teach good reps, we hold good standards, and that's the affiliate's role in this. Like if the affiliate is going to sign off and say this was done here and these are the reps they got, they need to take pride in those numbers that they sign off on, the names that they sign off on. Obviously, at the moment, I think it's as soon as you submit your score, it is automatically validated without the affiliate owner having to go in and validate it. And I think that's been set up because there was a couple of cut-offs that were missed because the affiliate owner hadn't signed off on them. But I think is it Barbell Spin? Yes, Barbell Spin started posting some videos after 26.1 where there was some very, very poor wall balls, and there's a lot of people upset about the fact that he wasn't just calling out the elites, he was calling out the, let's call them high rockers, right? For the most part, okay, this is a workout I can do and I'll do it. And I can understand that people are upset. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to get a workout in. But at the same time, now it's the open, now it's competition. There's a standard to come to, and if you're not hitting the standard, then I don't know, maybe scale's the way to go for you. And because this is not a workout, this is not the workout of the day. This is a competition workout. Yes, it's a mass participatory event, but it's still a competition at the end. And so maybe there is some stock in calling out poor reps, but I think the way we're calling them out currently
it's such a grey zone of where do you draw the line in the sand between participation and a legitimate competition, because the leaderboard is that it represents the competition, right? And if we don't hold a standard, then the leaderboard kind of means nothing. It kind of it undermines the integrity of the leaderboard if we don't have that standard. And I don't know whether those people who are just doing it as participants, like I think there was a Rhonda Patrick did it. She's like a massive multi-million subscriber YouTube personality that talks about health and fitness. And I mean, even with parallax and the camera angle, you could tell that she was not anywhere near squatting below parallel for her wall balls, and none of her wall balls were hitting the right line and whatnot. But she was participating. I don't know whether she put her name on the leaderboard or not, but just say someone like that puts their name on the leaderboard, like they really should be entering another division. I think I put on a post not too long ago that CrossFit almost needs to have like a different division. You've got your elite or your RX, you've got your scales, you've got your foundations, and there's this massive grey zone of people who can't move into any of those divisions. And there needs to be almost like a fourth division, which is a I'm participating division. you know, where they can upload their scores and say, I participate, I did the Open, but I did it as a participant for health, fitness, and
I would say I wouldn't like to see that. I like the idea of all right, this is the time where 240,000 people from around the world participate. The Open is participation. Like the fact that you brought up 3 divisions there, the RX, Scale, and Foundations, I'm like, hey, they're the divisions we need. And if we need people to be, you know, maybe that's the role of the affiliate manager, is to guide someone down the path of the right division that they could choose, rather than adding an extra division for people who, you know, just want to put their name on the board. Like I think,
well, they pay their $20. They pay their $20, and they want to be on a leaderboard of sorts.
So I think that's probably I think Joanne, hey Joe, is right there. Like, you know, we have got that division realistically, and I think the problem is that people are currently putting their name on the wrong leaderboard rather than not having a leaderboard available to them.
So it would be up to the judge to say, hey, Rhonda, wonderful that you're participating in the Open 26.1, but make sure when you put your score in, you don't click RX or Scale, you click Foundations.
Yeah, well, they can click anything they want. The affiliate has to actually sign up and say,
yes, the judge should be saying.
To do. Oh, definitely. So if the movement's poor and you're the judge there, the hardest part, I think, for a lot of people is judging, well, even in its name, right? So it infers a fairly negative connotation of sorts. But it's difficult to separate the athlete from the movement at times. Like I think when you do it for a long time and you've been to a few competitions, or even like just observing someone, you do become like, it's almost like, hey, the arms move out automatically. So it's whether or not there needs to be like a lead up to the Open where, hey, now's the time to practice your no reps, as in giving no reps, rather than waiting till the Open and feeling bad about, you didn't get low enough or the ball didn't go high enough. I think, you know, if there's an element in the gym where we say, hey, we want to have as many people here feel comfortable about judging as doing the workout. This is what a workout, this is what a movement standard needs to be.
Is it hard, like when you're judging an elite athlete, you know, maybe it's a well-known athlete, you know, Jason Hopper or Tia, or, you know, as a judge, is it hard to no-rep them? Like, do you feel, surely they're one of the world's fittest, best athlete, they wouldn't get a no-rep. I must be the one who's wrong, you know, not the athlete.
To be fair, a lot of those names you've said, it's not hard because they do move really well. Like Tia is an excellent example. Cara Webb's another, Cara Saunders, sorry, is another example. I remember one of the first big names that I'd sort of judged was Samantha Briggs, and it was on down on the CrossFit Championship, so it was on like the Gold Coast. And I remember Michael Berg had come up to me and said, "Are you going to be comfortable judging this person?" Now she'd already won her, or like got her ticket to the games. She was just coming down for, I think it was one of those ones where you could basically qualify in this many number of different places. But he said to me, "Hey, you're going to be comfortable?" And I said to him, "I know reps my girlfriend in the Open. I'll be fine." It can be intimidating. Look, it can be, and I think it's actually more intimidating no-repping someone from your gym, someone who's a friend, someone who's you can just see they're trying hard, you know, and they want to get that first pull up, and they're just not hitting it. It feels rough. They're the ones that it's hard to do. I think quite often in the events, or the big events, like, you know, if you see a no-rep, you're actually caught up in the thing of I'm here and I'll just judge, and giving the no-rep is no issue. Yeah, so I
And
think it can
so
be.
sometimes,
Yes, it can be.
sometimes the elite athletes are easier to judge because they move well, and then you've got the non-elite
For
athletes.
instance, Jay Crouch is a really good example of like when he was doing, I think he was doing toaster bar, and he was like you generally as a judge, you hold your hand against the rig for the toaster bar so you can feel when they hit it.
Yeah. Okay.
And he makes sure that you see it every time. And when he misses and you call no rep, you don't get any feedback because he's like, I missed. So it's important to, so that if they're really good athletes, you know, occasionally it'll be like, well, that was pretty close, no rep for depth or whatever it is, and you know the next rep's going to be great. Or sometimes even if that looks close and you sort of tilt your head, they're like, okay, he's watching my hip. I'll make sure the next one. Like, you know, like I think.
Do you ever say, if you're a little bit unsure, do you ever say, hey, make sure you get depth? Do you just yell out, make sure you get depth? I haven't no rep. Or do you just go, bang, no rep?
If you're not sure, no rep. And then tell them.
Right.
So no rep.
That's what I said, wasn't it, Dave? That's what we learned in the course. If you're not sure, it's a no rep. If you're having to look and go, it's a no rep. So it's the job of the athlete. It's the job of the athlete to make sure that they're doing the rep correctly. So to give you no doubt.
And you were talking about
take the judge out of it.
You were talking about the friend in the gym, like 99% of the year, the training is happening without a judge, and they're doing their wall balls and they're doing their pull-ups and whatnot, and they're not getting judged, and you probably, that's probably not quite to depth, and then suddenly the open comes along, and you've got to no rep them because they're not getting the depth. So how do you resolve that? Like, is that the coaches on the floor, you know, just during the week, should they be saying to that athlete, hey, you know, these aren't reps, or is that the job of the coach?
If you're coaching and you see someone's not moving well, you should know your athlete well enough, or you should know the person well enough.
Your members,
is this a movement restriction? Is this something, you know, is there a biometric problem here that is stopping them from moving, or is this someone just shorting the rep? And then as a coach, sit them and say, hey, get down, move better. So I think that that's the benefit of being a coach, is that you know your members, you know what they're capable of or not capable of, or this is whatever. And I think, take the opportunity in the class to, hey, maybe find out, hey, is this person just really sore today and they're just not able to hit this? Just ask them. I think that quite often, like, you don't have to be standing there next to someone who's doing a workout just banging out no reps just to be a hard ass, but like, you have the ability in that scene, in that class, to talk to them, find out what's going on. You should know your members. And you've seen them move enough times in the gym that you know, okay, is this unusual? Is this normal? And if it is normal that they're doing this, and you know that, hey, I've seen you do good quality repetitions, maybe just ask them, hey, are you doing this on purpose? Are you trying to go too fast? Let's slow this down and make sure that we're hitting standards. But also, obviously, the goals of the open and any of these workouts are very different from perhaps the goals of your workout. What do you need to see here? Like, you know, are you hitting intensity in this workout, or are you not? Or what is the goal? So it's important that the coach knows, one, their athlete, two, what's the goal, and where are we in this competition space anyway.
And I think it's right that the affiliate owner and the coaches need to kind of push the athlete to whatever division they should be in, right? So you know, so if they can't hit depth because they've got some biomechanical issue or whatever, then they don't do RX, even though they can do the weight, but they can't do the movement. That's it. You know, like that shouldn't be kind of available to them. But I do think, like, you know, what Dave said in terms of maybe like a participation thing. It would be still good to be able to enter. So say, for example, you're a high roxer and you're not very good at wall balls, but you can probably do the volume of wall balls. You know, if you can see that you can hit the volume, but then all of a sudden you go, okay, well, I can compare myself to, you know, somebody who's doing it properly. So I can see, well, I can actually get there. I've just got to improve my movement standard. So there's kind of something there to be able to help that person, because, you know, we're all competitive. That's why we do the open, right? So we want to kind of gauge ourselves against everybody else to see, well, where do I stand? Because I know from my perspective as a very average CrossFitter, but I hit standards because I have Joe and Dave like no-repping me all the time if I don't, right? So that means that I slow everything down to make sure I hit those standards. But it does get there's the ego part of me does see the 10 people in front of me who put a video up, and I look at them and I go, that's not to depth, that's not to depth, that's not to depth. And I'm like, so I'd probably be up more, you know, but that is obviously, I'm happy as an individual that I've done well on the thing, but it does make a little bit of a mockery of the leaderboard if people are not going to be held to those standards.
Yeah, because those people are they're not foundations, and they might be super fit. Like just say Hunter McIntyre, right? I'm not saying he doesn't squat to depth, but just say someone like Hunter McIntyre, you know, one of the world's best high roxers. But just hypothetically, just say all of his wall balls were above parallel. You know, he could do the open, put his score up for 26.1. But if he had a judge, it just says, look, you'll be on the leaderboard, but there'll just be a little P next to your name. Because then he can go, all right, shit, I came first in the world, but there's a P in my name. So next year, if he doesn't want to have a P in his name, and if he legitimately wants to come first in the world, you just got to get that extra, like 1 inch of depth. But you know, like he can't put him into a foundation scale because he's obviously clearly very fit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you know, maybe as the judge, you walk up to him and say, "Hey, man, that was a great workout. Would you consider doing the open workout instead, though?"
You'd like to do 26.1 tomorrow?
Yeah.
That was a warm up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to just bash on the high roxers here. I know that I probably started it. I think that there's probably it's a difficult one to get, and I think all that needs to happen is we keep doing what we're doing. Like we keep saying, we keep holding people accountable. We keep, you know, we encourage people to we encourage people to judge better, because if you judge better, if you have better judges who are people who are more comfortable judging, then you're going to find that you'll naturally get better movement. Like, you know, whether that judgment be on the day or in the classes beforehand, you know, that's.
Are there bad judges? Can you have bad and good? Do you see people and you say, "Hey, I don't think you're a very good judge"?
I would say there are people who need more time, more exposure. I don't think.
Why is that? What makes them a bad judge?
Not a bad judge. I think not a good judge yet. It's probably a better one.
Not a good judge.
I think what it is there is an intimidation to being not so much on the main floor, but in like a community floor or so forth. It can be, you know, you have people yelling at you that aren't the athletes. They are like the family members or whatever, and they're yelling at you, and that's when it's difficult to sort of not get flustered, and that's hard. So in order to get better, you just need to do more, and like not shy away from the movements that scare you. For instance, if an area where you don't feel comfortable judging is the squat depth, don't avoid those. Leap into it, lean into it. Same as double unders. Double unders are one that every year people sort of go, "Oh, I can't count double unders." I'm like, try. You know, like break it up into a way that you can count it, whether that's counting on your fingers in tens or whatever it's going to be. Don't back away from those ones, and give yourself an opportunity to observe judging, whether or not you're on the floor. Hey, look, this event's on. I'm not currently judging. I'm going to wander around and put myself in the stand in a spot where I can see it, and I'm going to call my own reps for that. Whether or not that's what's on the floor. So just give yourself a chance to, like in anything, rehearse. It's the way you get better. It's the way you improve all of your movements. And I think as well, you have the opportunity at any of these times to probably speak to someone like a Jody or a Craig or an Ian or a Gus. These guys are great, a lot of experience. And hey, can you give me some feedback on this? What did you think of that? Or can you watch me in this one and make sure that I'm holding the standard? I think there are plenty of people out there who want to help you and can help you. Yes, there are people who miss reps or feel, but I don't consider that bad judging. It's just they're not the best judge yet. Anyone can miss a rep, and it happens all the time. And I think that, but I don't think that necessarily constitutes a.
It's more like that.
I remember seeing on the floor some amazing calls. Like I think it was down the one of the ones in Wollongong recently, and it was Ricky Garrard was lifting. It was a team workout, and one of the judges on the floor called him for a no-rep, and it was so good because the whole crowd was behind Ricky making this lift, and I can't remember if he didn't touch the floor or something, but she was straight away into it, and it would have been very easy for her to miss it. And so I think it's more important, and this is what I would love. I messaged Andrew Hiller to say this. I would love for him to actually call out good judging performances as well as bad judging performances, so that people don't feel afraid to come and judge, because that's what you need. Is you need more volunteers, more judges, more people who are willing to put themselves out there without being lambasted by the crowd or the social media or so forth. Like show examples of where people have absolutely nailed it under all the pressure, because this is the middle of the floor, all the lights are on, she's in a position she's on her knee looking at it, and bang, straight away. And Ricky blew up initially, and then I think he knew, no, you're probably right, and then he just went and did it and lifted it properly, and no worries. But I mean, it would have been very easy for her to just go, that's it, I'm done, I'm not a good judge because I've now been yelled at by an athlete. But she nailed it. So yeah, so to your question, are there bad judges? No, there's judges who aren't good yet, and to get good, they just need experience.
Does the judges course, do you think that would help? Like, is that, I've done it once, I think, but Anthony, you've done it as well.
Yeah.
Is it of utility? Is it valuable? The judges online course through CrossFit?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think it adds value to. It doesn't improve a on the floor judge at all. I don't think so. Like, yes, okay, it talks about some standards, and maybe every now and then it throws in a standard that you're like, oh, okay, so now your thumbs are going to be outside on the bench press or whatever it's going to be. So it can be good in reinforcing standards, but it doesn't improve an on the floor judge. It might improve someone who's a video judge. That probably, okay, now I understand, and maybe it gives them a better, I guess, acumen in terms of setting someone up who's going to video their movement and say, hey, you need to be here and you can't work out of here. You need to make sure you give all this information beforehand. Make sure you read your standards. So it can be useful. I don't think it makes better judges. No,
I think the videos that they give you and they ask you to determine how many good reps there are in a set or something. I think they're kind of good because you're kind of looking for, the points of performance and all that sort of stuff. But I will say, I remember one of the questions was ridiculous because it was going from like pull-ups into some kind of squatting movement, right? And the workout was like do 10 squats and then move into 10 pull-ups. And then it was like count the number of reps. And then you're like, well, if you didn't hit the squats, you should never be on the pull-ups. So they don't count either. So it was kind of working out going, well, you never got to 10 squats. So therefore, how can you move to the next movement? And there's little things that they put in there, which I think are just that they could fix up, because that's the sort of stuff that if you're answering questions creates unsureness of, well, how do I judge this? What am I supposed to do? Whereas some of that could be tightened up in terms of the training, I think. Do you know what I'm talking about there, Wazzy?
I know what you're talking about. Like, for instance, say the thing is, hey, you got to do 5 rope climbs, and you do 4 good rope climbs, but your 5th one is rubbish. But the next part is you do 20 calories on the rower, and you still get scored for 20 calories. So I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. It's difficult to say, would you have gotten to this? Would you have gotten to the rower, and so forth, if you hadn't got that one? So I think that's a really good point. It's difficult to do without a judge on the floor, though. Like, I don't think you can do that. I think that, I think that's a really good point. And I think that you'll quite often hear, I think John Young often brings it up, or even Brian Friend probably. A lot of these guys will say, the analysts will be there and like, yeah, but they wouldn't have got to that. And it's hard to say you're wrong. Like, if they were supposed to do 30 muscle ups before they moved on to this, and they did 28 muscle ups, and even if they did 28 good muscle ups but just miscounted and do the last 2, do you still count the next reps?
I think the online course just wants you to identify that there were 2 shitty muscle ups. They're not sort of expecting you to go, well, none of those other movements didn't count. That's. I
don't see the point in the counting the no reps. Like, I get the point in saying, hey, count the reps, and that's an important thing to be able to do as someone on the floor. Like, hey, I'm counting. That's a no rep, and keep counting, right? So like that's actually a skill that you need to learn and be aware of. Is that not people won't stop the movement because you call a no rep. If they say they've got 12 overhead squats to do, and from on the 3rd one, they're not putting the bar down and starting again. They're still going. So you say 1, 2, no rep, 3, 4, and continue counting. I know it sounds dumb, but like that's quite often where people mess it up. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hang on, that was a no rep. So 3, and then they mess themselves up. So I think you're better off, rather than counting the no reps, count the reps, count the good reps. What's the rep count? Like any given time, the head judge should be able to walk behind you and say, what's your rep count? And you just say, that's the rep count. And that's what it is.
Yeah, very cool.
Sorry, Anthony, you go.
I was going to ask you, what's the hardest no rep you've given in a competition? Your girlfriend excluded.
So I think probably it was a final, and I was judging Baden Brown, and the last movement was bar muscle ups, and he was in the lead, and he'd done all the bar muscle ups really well, and then on the last bar muscle up he did, he's gone up and then slipped onto his forearm. So, and he was and I think it was a race between him and James Newbury or whatever, and this is the one that I think James Newbury might have ripped his nipple ring off as he dove over the line. But yeah, so that one, having to give that out because he was in the front, and if he won this, he was going to the game. So firing that one out was it wasn't hard to do at the time, but I was aware of it afterwards, going, because I remember when he did it, he looked over at me, and I'm like, and then, but I remember at the time afterwards thinking, oh gee, that was. If I let that one go, no, not harsh. No, it was the right call, but it was it was tough.
Did you talk to him afterwards, or do you talk to athletes afterwards, or?
We used to have like a bit of a say it was at Wollongong. Normally there used to be a thing. There was like a little bar in the corner from the Wollongong thing, and a lot of the athletes would go there afterwards, and we'd also get together. But I think it was probably, and then I can't remember. I don't think we sort of caught up after that one. Maybe we did, but no, like it's not something you sort of do. Like you just kind of want to catch up with your friends. Like it's cool to sort of around them and so forth.
Mingle.
I've just spent 3 days or 4 days with a bunch of other people who are in the same pressure that I'm in, and I want to hang out with them, not necessarily the athletes.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it was when I did the Torian Pro Masters, and you were the floor judge, and it was the handstand walk, and we had to do 5-meter segments, and if you came down before the line, you had to start again, right? And the rule on that event, for the judge, and I've never heard this rule before, your hands had to be across the line to pass that segment. But then she said to me, no, go back because you didn't show control.
Right, okay.
Do you remember that?
You were given a
and I was given a note, so I had to go back a couple of times because I crossed the line. Both my hands got across the line. But because she said you didn't show control of your handstand beyond the line. And I thought, that's kind of conjectural, and like that's adding in some complexity and making it even harder for the judge, like an unnecessary judging complexity, which is conjectural rather than black and white.
If I was judging you, Dave, I wouldn't have had a problem giving it a no-rep for that one. But
okay, so that segues into my thing about where does CrossFit's role come in, or does CrossFit have a role in making the workouts and the workout description very, very black and white? Like introducing things like that is making it harder, and it's almost like inviting error when you kind of start to have those type of things into the decision-making process.
So I agree I agree and disagree. One is that, okay, in a perfect world, all movements would be, they would just be subjective, right? So they would be, did they lift the weight?
It's binary. Yeah, binary.
Good, bad. It's a run. Who finished first? But obviously, the nature of the activities and movements we do is that there's going to be an objective nature to it. Whether that be, did they get low enough? Did they reach for their lockout and so forth? Of course, we want to see the other one, but I think if CrossFit writes too much in, and I think this is a bit of a balance for them, if they make it too simple, people will find ways to get around it. But if you make it too complicated, then you sit through an athlete brief where they say, is it going to matter if I have one finger or two fingers on the dumbbell? I think.
Yeah, you can't put every rule that you can't do. You can't put every rule that you can do, but you can put some rules that you can't do. So how they changed the burpee jump over the bar thing, and it used to be 2 foot takeoff, 2 foot landing. That was so, and then they said, screw it, let's just let you take off however you want, land however you want, but I just want to see 2 feet in the air at some point in time, and that would suffice. That I think that made it easier to judge, because rather than watching 2 foot landing, 2 foot takeoff, which is hard, I think that was a wise decision in CrossFit, and why it sort of still stood the test of time. Because it made the judging job easier and more black and white.
I respectfully disagree. I think it's made it way worse. I think it's now, when it was 2 feet, it was easy. So watching 2 feet jump onto a box is much easier than trying to assess, hey, are both feet off the air at the same time? So are both feet off the ground at the same time? I think that it is CrossFit's job, CrossFit headquarters' job to, set standards and guidelines. But I think that athletes are really good at shortening that. It's like rugby league, right? So they used to have the corner post, and then if you touch the corner post, you're out. And they're like, okay, well now we're going to make it so, the corner post is there, but just as a guide, you can touch it. And now we're seeing people sort of contort themselves all the way around. And then every try that goes into the corner, they have to video review to make sure that it was touched inside. I'm like, my feeling is that whenever they have to add another line to say, don't do this or do this, encourages the competitors to find a way to skirt that, and that's
to find an advantage.
Yeah, and that's the nature of the beast. The competitors want to compete, and they want to compete as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But I think every time they add another line to the rule or another line explaining the movement, it's like it was the judge was like, I don't know how to describe pornography, but I know it when I see it. That's basically how the movement's are. I don't know what a burpee is. I can't define it in those words you need, but I know a bad one when I see one. That's what it is. It's like, hey, what's the nature of the movement? What's the movement we want to be? What should it look like? That's good. And whether that's just all those videos of James Hobart and Julie Foucher doing those movements, that's the movement standard. So I think by adding more and more lines, we're making it more complicated, and then there's more things for the judge to watch for.
Oh, complexity makes it hard. What about technology? Are we heading down the line of Hawkeye at Wimbledon? To help us, is it? I mean, maybe the whole industry's not got enough money in it yet to invest in that sort of technology, but you would envisage that this would be something that technology could kind of resolve definitively.
No, I think if we start doing that, then we're going to bring in those same issues like camera angles. There are some things that they have done. So must have been 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I think I was one of the head judges where it was the run, rope climb, come back, move the box. And for whatever reason, we had the athletes doing 11 rounds instead of 10. Now, some of them didn't do it, but there was probably 10 athletes in total. I remember Maddie Stewart was one of them who her judge had her do an extra lap. What they had at Pat Rafter Arena is they had the overhead cameras look down, and then they made the assessments that, hey, this is the time you would have finished if you didn't have to do that lap. So there are ways that they can use technology to improve scoring. And so they did correct everyone's scores that did that. So that was an example of the technology. Yeah. So that's an example. But I mean, like, unless you're going to have that at every semi-final or every event where they have, because that was specifically, that's a tennis arena. So they have that particular camera set up, and it's part of the arena. It wasn't part of the media or so forth. So unless we have that, then I don't think you can bring it in for this case and that case, but not these two cases. Like, it needs to be, okay, this is where we're going to use cameras. And I think this is one of the areas that the scorers and the appeals have made a big deal. Is that, hey, if you want to appeal your score, don't come to me with a video that you've got on your phone.
On your phone,
in that. Yeah, we're interested in any footage that we've got off the broadcast or we've got off this. That'll be the only footage that we assess. And I think that's how it's going to be.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Not everyone's
black and white. Yeah, black and white. I was thinking more like, like rope climbs. I remember seeing an athlete go and touch the top of the rig, and he came down, and the judge said, "No, you didn't touch. You just missed it." Like, you could easily have like a little light. You could have like a little light that you hit, and the light comes on, like just a red light. It's like, boom, you've hit it. You can see the red light come on.
That's up to the competition and the venue to make sure that, hey, if we're going to have, so you'll see, whether it's touch the box or not touch the box over or whatever. I think that's up to the event assessor. And so, hey, is this going to be, when they had that year where it's like, hey, you had to do a legless rope climb, and there was a whole bunch of ladies who were sort of picked up for doing a clamp before they touched, and they were sort of, it was filming everywhere. That was probably more of an instance where they go, okay, let's just have a camera up the top and something to indicate, maybe even have a judge up the top who says yes or no to the judge down the bottom, who can then call out the no-rep. I think that does technology have? Yeah, maybe it'll grow, but I think that so with your touching the rope thing, if you think of, say, high rocks have got the markers, the wall balls, and they're gradually bringing that in. Yeah, so basically, if you throw the ball up, every time it hits that, it counts for you, so the judge doesn't have to count, and they can just call a no-rep, whatever. But what's happening is that some of those counters are messing up, or if you hit the wrong part of the target, it doesn't count. So until we have an actual good
a
version of the
better
technology.
sensor. A better
Yeah,
sensor.
maybe.
I think
we have to rely
Tier
on
throwing it
the-
too high. Tier was throwing it too high, so it didn't count.
Yeah, I think that there is a bit of that. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not infallible, that's for sure. But it's probably there's opportunities there for entrepreneurs, I suppose.
Well, did you see the joke one where the person was getting one of those squeezy chickens, and then they would tie it behind their leg, and when they go down and hit the squat length, it makes a noise. So it was basically like the squeaker chicken has to make a noise on your rep, otherwise it's not. So you put it on your chest, and if it doesn't hit the bar, you don't hear the squeak if you're doing a chest to bar. So there was all these little stupid ways. So
that's all great. But the squeaker behind the leg, if you go forward on your toes, you can still have your back of your leg hit your calf, squeak it, but your hip cannot below your knee. So like that's a modern technology to avoid. So, look, I think yes. Ultimately, yes, technology will probably take more and more apart. Like we've seen, like the talk tanks came in because someone had this technology and they wanted to, sponsor an event, and you saw that in. Now, whether or not that was a good piece of technology to be put into a competitive thing, that's pretty highly debatable. But yes, as we see more and more.
Well, I mean, you could actually, like, I know that Dave's really loves AI so much, but you could actually take every single athlete and look at their particular movements, and then essentially have like a skeleton kind of thing that shows, and then essentially when they're doing the rep in real time, you can kind of see whether or not, and something could be kind of coming off and saying, well, this is the standard that they need to hit. They haven't hit it, therefore it's a no-rep. But that's kind of really futuristic, I guess, to be able to do that. But who knows? Who you got up there? Who you got up there?
David Hickensteel.
Walter knows who that is. That's the CrossFit Games champion, Anthony. I think multiple time champion.
Him and Hiller are best mates now. Haven't you seen that?
Like, that's a classic example of someone who he pulled out of the Open, I think, when Hiller said when he said that, I don't think you're meeting the standards of overhead squat, because he couldn't lock out his elbow, and the logic that he sort of put forward was that I can't lock out my elbow. That's very sad, but it doesn't give you the ability to then claim the position on the leaderboard, especially if you're in first place.
But to his credit, that follow-up interview with Hiller was probably one of, I don't know if you've seen that, where he goes to Hippensteel's place and they do muscle ups in a stairwell, and they have a great connection and stuff. And Hippensteel actually turns around and says that Hiller was right. He wasn't hitting the standard, and now he's working very, very hard to kind of hit that standard.
I mean, if that's...
But it wasn't a good thing. Like the fight that they nearly had at the games was terrible, right? But both of them seem to have, mellowed and were able to come to a good place, which was, I think, a good thing.
Well, I think Hiller's looking at other things now. He's not really. I feel like the Open would have been a great opportunity for him to get back into the no reps, but I think that that's not what he's doing anymore.
I think I heard a story that someone got their doctor to write a letter saying that's as much as I can do anatomically, and so that they had that as their grounds for appeal for any no reps. But it's not. I don't think we can accept that. Otherwise it's like saying let's play golf, and it's okay if the ball doesn't quite go in. Like it just falls a bit short. That's okay. But you can't have a sport. The sport has to be founded and based upon pretty unwaverable rules, right?
like we were just saying before that we want to try and remove the subjectivity.
The subjectivity.
If we're incorporating an athlete's lack of movement or lack of body position, all you're doing is calling it more and more into, you've got to make a judgment call. And I think we want to remove that. So, I understand they have the uncommon movement clause to remove those sort of activities or those sort of, those excuses of sorts. But, I don't think if you were a hurdler and you couldn't bring your left leg up, you don't compete in the high level hurdles. That's what it is. You can compete in the lower level hurdles. You don't compete in.
So did you actually get no-rep in the Open this year yourself? Did you? Because you did the Open, right? Was anybody?
Yeah, I had Lisa Burrell judge me. Did she no-rep me? I got no-repped on a muscle up. I messed that up real bad, actually. I think I could have possibly done some damage if I'd held onto the ring just a little bit longer, but no, not for any wall balls or blocks. Oh, actually, I did get on the. I started off carrying the med ball in front of me, and when I went over the box the first time, I'm pretty sure I got no rep for having it on my leg.
That was a difficult one that I thought, that standard with the walking over there, because you're naturally starting to lean over. It's very hard to say, well, the ball's touching your leg. So what if, like, is that really a no rep, or based on some standards you saw people calling no reps, other people were like, nah, it's okay. Like they're not really using.
If you touch your leg with it, it's not a no rep. If you are using it as like for instance, say you put your hand on your leg to step up, that's sort of what they're trying to avoid. So if you're leaning your weight onto the ball to get you up, then that's the no rep. Whereas if you just lean forward and it bounces off you, then that's I don't believe that was considered. Yeah. But no. So after that one, I put the ball up on my shoulder, and I found it easy to breathe that anyway. I probably wasn't fit enough to hold it.
Yeah, it was hard to work out where to put it. Like, I didn't think that was going to be so hard when I got to that. When I got to those 18, I was like, where am I going to put the ball? I put it in front and went, I can't breathe. Now I'll put it on the side. Is that going to work? No, that doesn't work. How about I just
Could they say, look, hold the ball however the heck you want. We don't care where it touches. And athletes will just work out which is fastest for them. And then you avoid that, once again, you avoid that subjectivity of it, leaning or touching. Is it leaning? Are you leaning on it? I think. I mean,
also they could have just said, everyone must carry it on their shoulder, and you don't have
to. Just keep it. Then it's not even an issue anymore, because it's still the same for everybody, right? There's no advantage or disadvantage. Everyone's got to do it. The other one that I got a no rep for, because you couldn't wear your grips on the snatch, the 26.2, and I went to pick up my dumbbell, and I had my grips on because I was going to go to the rig, and then as I went to pick up the dumbbell to do the dumbbell snatches, my grips are on, and so I had to quickly take my grip off and then start snatching again, and like. It's kind of so subtly silly. Like, just who cares wear your grips or don't wear your grips? Who cares? That's up to you. Doesn't matter. And then the athletes will just kind of go, right, I'm going to wear them, or I'm not going to wear them. It doesn't matter. And then there's not an issue of a no rep.
I think that the idea there is they're testing the athletes' grip strength, or they're testing, what is it they're trying to achieve, and when the athlete is using or manipulating the grip in such a way, they're not actually giving themselves that same fatigue. So it's a matter of, hey, who's with the best equipment rather than who's the best athlete. And that's what they're trying to avoid in those instances.
Do you think that grips, like, universally?
Certainly, maybe not in those, like maybe the snatch, but certainly in some ways, if you have the grip turned around, or you've managed to wrap it around the hand and do like a false grip over it, you're realistically not testing your grip strength anymore. You're not giving yourself the same thing. You're actually producing like a lock. So if if the grip goes around the handle that way and you clear your hand, and like it's just a lot of the weightlifting lock, right? So like similar to people who they tie their hands in for a deadlift, same sort of thing. So by eliminating that, by just saying, hey, you can wear your grip, but that grip flat can't touch the handle. And that's why you just see people turn it around on the back of the hand. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, mate. We've hammered this topic. I like that.
Yeah.
I really love. I like the ability to just deep dive into topics like that. You know, we've been chatting for an hour and a half, and I think Anthony, did you have any other specific questions for
No,
me?
it's like that's been thoroughly interesting. Like, you know,
Oh,
it's
mate,
amazing how
that?
can you handle no reps and talk about no reps.
What about
What's
that
that?
Judges Association? Was it? There's a
Okay, yeah.
there's a professional judges association, functional fitness judges association. I think. Are you part of that or?
So in Australia, we have the Oceania Judging Syndicate, and that's run by mainly the head judges from Torian. So I think that's Jody, Michael, Craig, I think Ian, and Walker is the Kiwi fellow, and I think they've actually started a separate arm in New Zealand now, but I don't know who is running the OC Walkers and that, and some and Gus I think is part of it as well. So they are really good in terms of for any events that are sort of being run. They're a really good place for those events to reach out to if you need judges, because they can. Hey, we've got a resource of the names of people who are judging, and if you want to get involved in judging, it's a really great way. It's free. There's no cost to be part of this thing. So you just join up, and then you can. You know, they'll put a call out and say, hey, any judges in this area? There's a comp going on here, or there's a comp going on in Sydney, if whatever. So that's a really great way of doing it. I think also they also track people's judging certificates. So then that way, when you run a comp and you need to have people who have the L1 or have to have the judges course, you know that you're going to get that. So that's a really great thing that those guys have put together and organised there. It's not a professional judging thing, so like being part of that doesn't mean that you'll get paid to judge. Quite often, this is just all these are volunteer organisations anyway. But those guys are being really proactive in making sure, and then leading up to major competitions like Torian or like Torian's a really great example, but like Trinity Throwdown, any of the Masters Leagues, Paladin All Stars, which I think is now closed down, they're really good at making sure that, hey, here's a bit of a brief in terms of, you know, this is what the movement's going to be, this is the movement standards, this is what we expect from our judges, and they're really good, like a central point of contact, you know, like someone who's a focus point in order to make sure that happens. I think there's probably another big one to call out is that Mockberg, who was one of the founders for the Oceania Judges Syndicate, and he's been a long time regionals level and so forth head judge. He's actually running another competition now called Brothers in Arms, which is a men's partners one. The first event is in, I'm going to get this right, 3rd of May, and it's in Ballina. And I know they're looking like, you know, if you want to participate either as a pair or even as a volunteer, I know that they're always, that's really heavily supported. So it's a big thing. The Oceania Judges Syndicate, they're really pushing to make sure that these events are adequately supported by the judges. So I think that's a really great thing. Like I'm part of it, but not part of the leadership cadre that's in that.
Does the organisation then get paid? Like if you use their judges, do they then get paid? They charge?
I don't know what the. I'm not part of that hierarchy, so I don't really know how they manage. I assume there is some kind of compensation.
Yeah. Like if I was running a competition and, you know, I didn't want the crowd to be judging and I wanted some official, you know, non-biased judges to come in, I could contact them. They say, hey, there's 10 judges in Brisbane. You just tell them. Surely you'd have to some remuneration.
And I'll make sure those judges, you know, like for instance, have all the information they need. You know, they'll say, okay, look. And like, especially if you're starting a competition or you're running a competition and you want to know how can I look after my volunteers, or what do I need to tell these people, or how do I, then that's a really good resource as well, because they've been part of organising so many different competitions that they can give you some really quality, what's the height of the rig supposed to be, or how many bars down, or where is the ring supposed to happen. These guys have all those resources here because they've been part of so many competitions, so that they're really good at that part.
So are we going to see you in Torian this year, was it?
If you see me, it'll be in the stands. So I've volunteered for the last 10 years, and I've decided this year I'm going to watch. It'll be the first time ever. Like I've been volunteering, judging at Torian since they ran it at Torian, back in those old days. So this year I'm going to be sitting up. I've got my tickets for my 3-day pass, and we'll sit up and watch it, and I'll be cheering. So I'll probably be buying copies for the way as well. But it's going to be weird, I'm sure, but I will hopefully enjoy it. This will be great.
Who are you looking?
Pat Rafter is
Who's your pick? Who's your pick for women and men's this year?
Well, it's hard to go past, say, Ricky or Jay, right? So those two are really good. Peter Ellis has sort of shown up to be he's had an outstanding open performance, I think.
Yeah, he finished second, didn't he?
Did he? Oh, I didn't see his actual final position. I did see that he had 2 top 10 finishes, which is incredible. So he'll be one who I was excited to watch. I think last year during the last event, that was the lane that you wanted to be in to see him do it, because obviously Ricky, Gee, and Jay probably they were there, and it's great that they came down and I can't really emphasize how great it was that those guys and a lot of the girls too who'd already qualified still came along and did Torian, because it really supported them. So to see Pete Ellis in that final heat doing really well, that was really cool to see. And so hopefully he can get his second trip to the games this year.
Very much so. And on the women's side?
Harder to say. Tia's obviously left a pretty big hole in the competition. Are we sending 3 this year?
Sorry, what's that?
So.
Are we sending 3 this year?
I think it might be 3. Might be 3.
I think so. Yeah.
I think Grace has got a good chance.
She's our top Australian worldwide in the girls.
Yeah, I think she is. Yeah, Grace Walton is, and I think yeah. I don't know if Ellie has to come down to Australia to compete, or she can do it overseas. I think she can do it.
I think she's lived in America long enough now that she can. I think that last year she was short by about a month of living over there. Now that I think she's been there long enough that she can do it. I mean, it would have been really cool for her to come down.
We've seen Isabella last year. That's a great performance at 34th. Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
I think she's on the Sunshine Coast, Isabella.
Where's Georgia?
Ellie Turner.
Georgia Price.
Where's Georgia this year? Have you seen where Georgia is, Dave?
Hasn't come up yet.
Yeah. I don't really follow too many athletes, if I'm being honest.
It'll be great.
I'll cheer on. It'll be cool. Hopefully Beck gets there again this year, and then I'll get to cheer her on, and then I'll get to cheer on a lot of the other anchor athletes who might be in different areas. And that'll be the people I'll be most keen to see. I enjoy watching the show, and I enjoy watching people, do their competitive
But you've never actually just chilled out at the Torian Pro for 3 days before you've worked. Oh my God, you're gonna have a great time. It is the best weekend of the year, sports wise. On the sporting calendar. I just love it. It's just we chill out, we have our coffee, we have our food, we just put our feet up, watch every heat, talk to people. Half the gym's there as well. It's great.
Yeah. As soon as those pre-sale tickets came out, I got straight on it. So I'm sitting with some friends, and my wife's going to come down for 2 days, maybe one day. She really doesn't like CrossFit, so this is quite an opportunity to come along.
Is that because you know Reptor? Or did the girlfriend become?
No, different girlfriend. But this is no, my wife does. She's a professional bodybuilder. She does physique.
Okay.
She's very good. Mm-hmm. She won Worlds 2 years ago in her masters category.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
That's
she
awesome.
has no interest in CrossFit. It would be
Yet. You need to put yet, was it? You need to put the
I
word
put that in
yet
my vows
after
that I
it.
said now I've got the rest of my life to convince you how good CrossFit is. But I think all that I've done is driven her into the opinion that it's a crazier cult than probably she initially thought.
She's probably right, but for good reason. And I'm just going to give one more plug for your page here, Wazza. And
Yes, this is my little.
this is a little bit of your Dave
Yeah.
Castro-esque leather work.
I
You
don't
make
think he
these
sort
things?
of labels it. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I make those weights and all the laser branding and so forth.
That's cool. What are these? So
laser
these are
injection and
wooden. These are
So that's their weight
wooden.
plates. So instead of the single weight plates generally, so if say a 5 kilo plate, it's a bit smaller than a regular size plate. So I come up with this. So then I give them you can see there's an additional couple of core bits to give them a bit extra strength. And then I generally I'll weigh them and then I'll laser them up to say it's a physiotherapy or whatever your gym's name is. So it's just a bit of fun there. And then the leather work. So a friend of mine does a lot of leather work, and I do all the wood stuff.
I like the grips. The grips is pretty cool. Putting the logo.
Yeah, it was a bit of fun. A lot of people wanted their grips personalised, like they wanted the Australian flags on them or their names, because everyone at the time had the frog grips, and so it was difficult to decide who's whose. So I just put his initials on them.
Really? Yeah, cool. You can't drop these though, can you? Because we've got a few people who like to drop the 5 kilogram plates and destroy my equipment.
It'd be best if they. I mean, it's I was going to say 3/4 inch ply, so it's 18 to 24 mil ply, depending on the size and weight. So they're a bit more ruggedized than whatever, but I mean, it's still ply. Like I saw what you did to your weight plates during.
Oh yeah, the
I haven't seen.
I think they were AlphaFit. Yeah, they were AlphaFit. I tagged AlphaFit in that post. They didn't reply, by the way.
They didn't use it as an advertising campaign.
No, it wasn't. But they're like nearly 15 years old, wasn't it? So
yeah, I mean that's great. I mean, yes, I think that the risk to equipment this year was pretty significant.
It was for the women.
Women's using the 5 kilo plates made it very difficult for that to survive. And that's just just because pounds and kilos don't sort of equate that well. But
sure.
I really enjoyed the Open this year. I didn't enjoy doing it, but I loved it.
It was good. I mean, it didn't have to be heavy. That's the criticism. That wasn't really heavy for people, but that's going to come up in the quarters and semis.
Yeah, I think I was watching. It was Pedro from Coffee Pods and Wads. I think he was having one of those debate things around the whiteboard with John Young, Seth from
Hawaii.
That guy, and James Hobart, and they were talking about whether or not it was a balanced test or an all-encompassing test. And I think that the general overwhelming sentiment was that was it heavy enough? And then I think the question basically was, did it matter? Do we get the right people through to the next stage? And I think probably the answer would be yes. I think it's while it may not necessarily be being a 3-week test, it's going to be difficult to do a full series of tests. But I think that I don't have to be on the leaderboard to do these next tests. I can still do them. I just don't get to enter a score. If I want to do the heavy tests, I can still do the heavy tests. There's nothing stopping me from doing it.
And it didn't stop someone who was had a strength bias from making it to the next stage. If you're a strength and power based athlete, if these workouts didn't preclude you from moving forward, right? You still have to be fit.
But that was the thing. You had to be fit. So if you weren't fit enough, you wouldn't move through. So probably some strong athletes haven't moved through this year. But that's not what CrossFit's about, right? So CrossFit is about
They wouldn't move through anyway at the next stage, even though they're strong.
correct. But it's like that. It's that ego thing, man. It's like a whole bunch of people going, well, I would have got to the quarterfinals if there was strength things and this and this and this, but you didn't this year because that was the test. If you weren't prepared for it, you're not ready for it. So I think it was a good test. And if anyone, good luck to you if you think those lunges were not heavy, because I certainly did. So they were hard. That was a hard movement, I'm sure, for a lot of people, so including me.
Okay, was it lovely talking to you? Thank you so much for your time tonight.
No, it was my pleasure. Thanks very much for the invite.
I hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. You've been in our diary calendar to come on the show for some time, and I know you've been supporting watching a few of the other shows as well. So that we always appreciate that too. I think we're the only Australian long form CrossFit podcast. No one else does it.
No,
But,
the best success I've been going through your back catalogue over the last couple of days to try and we've got some clues as to how you run.
We've had some cool chats. Really enjoyed them.
Actually, there's a couple of stories I thought I'd tell from Torian.
Please.
So I know you had obviously Luke Jong on
yes.
start of the year, and one of the things was so I was his judge when I don't know if you remember this, but there was the ski erg into, I think, dumbbell snatches into burpee box jump overs, and you progress it down. There was like 3 minutes of work, whatever, and then at one stage, he just stopped for a round. He just sort of worked away on the ski erg, but didn't progress and get through the snatches and burpee box jump overs. And
strategically to get through it.
It was a strategic thing, but I think that the opinion at the time was because James Newbury came down, he gave him his shoes, and Luke put his shoes on and then finished the next round. And I think everyone's like, "I must have been the shoes," and I'm like, he specifically asked me, "Does he need to progress through?" And I'm like, "You just need to keep working. There is no minimum work effort." But it was always a story that people always still come and tell me, it's like, "Oh yeah, it's because he had the shit shoes on." I'm like, there was nothing to do with the shoes. That was an excuse to change his shoes. Yeah, there was that one. And then one other story I'd like to tell about. This is actually another one with Hayden Brown. I was a head judge, and I was sort of floating around, and as you see one of the judges put his hand up like this, which just lets you know, hey, I need a head judge attention. So I walked over to him, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I gotta go. And I'm like, are you all right? What's wrong? And he's like, I gotta go. I'm like, what's the count? So anyway, it was Baden who was traveling up and down. I think he was doing a farmer's carry and was coming back to do handstand push-ups. And as he's run off, I was assaulted by the smell of someone who probably just shit themselves.
Oh,
no. And I think that was why he had to leave the floor. And so I've been referred to
mid workout.
I think he'd only been one round of 3 rounds in, and Baden's like, what's going on? And I'm like, just keep working. And I'm like, oh, there's like all sorts of stuff. He's telling you,
I've got to go. He's telling you, I've got to go, and you're thinking, I've got to go, as in I've got to go start the workout or start.
No, he was a judge. I was thinking he just needed to go to the toilet or something, or something was wrong. He's feeling dizzy, so I sort of stepped in and was working as the judge there. And one of the other head judges came along. What's going on? And I'm like, I think he just shit himself. So he pulled a Baden Brown himself.
Oh no.
Geez.
Anyway, that's a fun story.
Another story from the floor. I'm glad we weren't sitting in the front row and that.
I don't think he. It was right in the end lane too, so it's like would have been right in the crowd. The crowd would have.
Is he still judging, was he?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Okay, so you know who he is.
I know who he is.
We'll keep that secret. We'll keep that.
Yeah,
keep
I
that
think we'll
confidential.
keep that secret. We'll keep that confidential. If he's a subscriber,
So it's
we
not
still-
only the athletes. It's not only the athletes that need the quick wee or toilet break before the event. It's the judges as well.
Oh yeah, I remember especially when there's deadlifts or something. Quite often you've sort of got to get out there with a mop and sort of tack it up. It can be a bit awkward.
seriously.
Yeah.
When they, oh my god, that's like when did they? So what preparation do they give you to that? Where's the
The
training?
preparation is they go, here's the mop. Can you go out to lane 5? And you're out there for rows. I remember one time I was doing that, and one of the athletes said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm mopping up pee."
Oh my god!
It's because they're loaded. It's all that pre-workout that they have before the event, and it's got that artificial sweetener and the xylitol, which is a laxative.
Yeah.
So if they have too much of that shit, they go.
I just know that I'll get the mop. So it's not all glamorous work.
Hopefully that doesn't happen on a regular basis. Was it, or is that at least once in a week? You would say.
Depends on the movements. If it's heavy deadlifts, then there's probably you might get it.
Wow. That's
Yes.
cool. Good to know.
It's a good way to finish the conversation.
Maybe we didn't want to know that. We'll look out. We'll watch more closely at the Torian Pro this year.
No, we won't, Dave. No, we
Let's see if I can
won't.
point it out to you.
No, we won't. If we see a mop, we'll have a count of the number of mops we see after deadlifts. So, okay.
Okay, well, so we will we'll see you at the Torian Pro probably, if not before.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'll still be judging and in a like a box level or whatever for quarterfinals and so forth.
Are you in quarterfinals? Did you make it to quarterfinals?
I wouldn't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think I'm probably somewhere in the 50 to 60 percentile rather than the 75 plus. It's been a while since I've been in that sort of percentile range. Like I think I came top 3 in Masters one year in the state Queensland, but that's as good as it's been. And that was probably when was that? 8 years ago, maybe not that long ago, maybe 6 years ago, when I was in that 35 to 39 category before I bumped over into the 44 category now.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you're at the end of the age division. You know, you got to make it move when you're the youngest.
Yeah. I enjoy getting down there. I love the Open. I love this whole competition season. I do, and I'll continue to do it as long as I can do. Like I managed to get out of the army without too many debilitating injuries. Some of them sort of come to haunt me now, and I think the biggest problem I have, and I know that Bev could probably attest to this, is that my warm up is the first round. I am terrible at coming in and doing any structured kind of warm up, which is going to improve my ability to do a workout. I'm also a bit of a first round bully, so if it can't be won in the first round, then it can't be won at all, and that doesn't set me up for success in any kind of workout that I do.
Not good for 26.3, that's for sure.
No, well, I did pace that much better, but
good.
No, I enjoy it, and I will continue to do it, and I'll continue to support this in any way that I can. But this year I decided to just have a bit of fun and watch that semi-final stage rather than
good move. Let someone else hold the reins for a little while. But I'm sure you'll be back. Yeah.
Well, I know the guys there and the girls are going to do an amazing job. Like all the team that work down at Torian, they're very passionate about it and they love what they do. And it's not about getting a free T-shirt and a jumper for them. It's about being a part of the experience, and I think that's really commendable. They're giving up their time. Quite often they give up like a whole week to travel down to help set up the arena. And I think it speaks highly of every one of those volunteers that spends any time helping. I love being part of it, and I'm disappointed not being part of it.
Who's the head medic? Is there a medic, the sort of on-site medic?
There is an on-site medic, but I don't know who that is. Like, I know that Torian in particular has, while they have a cadre of medical people, they also have a Queensland paramedic service there to help out for certain portions. And I think that's probably a Parrafter arena thing more than a Torian thing. But they do have a medical team. Yeah, definitely. Like, I think
I was thinking about volunteering, but then I'd have to be sitting in the corner waiting for someone to hurt themselves and sitting in the
like you get a very cool red shirt to wear to let everyone know that you're part of the medical team.
Yeah. I might hit that. I might check out that volunteer portal, see if they want anyone to
get onto it before it closes down. I know that Jono, they're always keen for volunteers. They're always looking for new people. They love having the old people come back, but it's always exciting to see new faces around. So I think they'll welcome anyway, and they're very welcoming and inclusive sort of group. So get amongst it.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't speak highly enough of all the competition crew that I've ever worked with, and I look forward to seeing them all there.
Yeah. Okay, mate. You better get off to bed.
Awesome.
Good night, Walter.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
No, I had a great time. Thanks very much.
We'll see you in 2 weeks' time on the podcast. We're going to be talking to hopefully Dallin Pepper, Cooper Marsh, who represents a lot of the top athletes. Danielle Brandon, Dallin Pepper. He might represent Hopper. I'm not sure. All the big names.
Well, definitely see me in the comments then.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Wow, we deep dived. We dived deeper than we ever thought possible.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so.
What a great perspective. What a great insight and experience from Warren.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So it's like so interesting to see how it's all run and organized, and so impressive that people are not getting paid, right, to do this type of work. So
it shows how passionate people are. It shows how passionate the community is for this amazing sport. Okay, Anthony, it's late. I am going to sign off. We'll end the stream and catch up with you in 2 weeks' time, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.
See you guys. And